All right, hello and welcome to the training video for how to run sound. This is just kind of an introductory video, so we're going to be pretty basic today. So if you're running sound, when you show up, everything should already be on, but I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you how to turn everything on, just so that you know. And the basic thing you got to remember is when you're turning stuff on, you work left to right, and then when you're turning it off, you go backwards and work right to left. So the first thing we want to do is turn on this orange power button that's down here, because that powers everything and you won't be able to turn the soundboard on without it. Then you turn on the soundboard itself. The power button is back here on the right side. It's a little switch that you flip right above the power thing. And then give it a second to kind of start up. And then once it's up, this is very important. So over here to the right of it, you'll see we've got these three white switches. And the middle one is the only one that does anything. I guess the other two were supposed to be for something else, but the only one that does anything is the middle one. And you want to make sure and get that switched on, because that's the amps that powers all the speakers and stuff. So you won't have any sound coming through anything, mics or instruments or anything, if this is not on. And so this is important. So we got the amps on, we got the soundboard on. The soundboard defaults to having the volume all the way down. So we'll go ahead and turn this as the main volume. So basically, what we're going to look at here is just the parts of the board that if you're running sound on a normal Sunday, you're likely to use. And I know there's a lot of buttons and colors, and it kind of looks intimidating, but there's really not that much of it that you actually use on a normal Sunday. So to start off, I want to look at this first channel. So you can see how channel 1 is bass drum, and it has a select button and a solo button, a mute button, and then what we call a fader, which is just controlling the volume, which you just slide up and down. Okay, so select, solo, mute, and the fader. And then every channel just has those exact things. It's just a whole bunch of channels exactly like that just have those few buttons. And if you select a channel, you can see how if I hit select, I don't know if the video shows it well, but that's lit up. The select is lit up. You picked this channel, and that means that all of these buttons up here are going to give you the settings for that specific channel. So if you select a different one, you get different stuff. Yeah, you shouldn't have to mess with this stuff up here really at all, because that should be set. The majority of what you're going to be doing is just making sure things are muted and not muted when they're supposed to be, and that the volume levels are mixed so that it sounds good. And that's really the bulk of what you're going to be doing. So let me show you kind of the buttons that we have here. So over here on the left, you can see there are 4 buttons on this side. The top one gives you channels or inputs 1 through 16, and so that is these channels 1 through 16, which is drums, which these days we hardly ever use drums, so you won't really have to worry about that too much. And then instruments like bass, acoustic, my electric, my acoustic, keys channels that we don't really use a lot right now, the piano, and the drum overheads, which again, when we're not using drums, you won't worry about. So this is channels 1 through 16, but it's a 32 channel board. So if you want to deal with channels 17 through 32, that's this second button. You push that, and now you've got channels 17 through 32, which is mics, the iPad, and then some more mics, Tony's mic, the handheld mic, the podium. And so these first two buttons are really where you'll spend the majority of your time. If you're wanting to mix something in channels 1 through 16, you push the top button and it gives you 1 through 16. Second button gives you 17 through 32. So it's not rocket science, 16 and 16. The third button down here is the auxiliary inputs, and the only one that you'll really deal with for this is the first one, which is the iMac. For channels 1 and 2 are the left and right for the iMac. So, you know, everything that comes from the computer, whether it's pre-service music or videos that we show, you would use that to control it. But that's really the only auxiliary that you mess with. All of this other stuff you won't really use. So, and then the bottom button is a master for the bus sends. You don't really have to worry about that either. We'll talk about bus sends in a minute, but this master down here you don't really have to use. So the majority again is going to be just the regular channels 1 through 16, 17 through 32. Moving over here, you can see there's another section of what looks like channels, and so we'll look at these buttons because there are again buttons here. The first button you can see says DCA group, and basically all that is these are groups of channels. So you can set it so that if you want to be able to turn multiple channels up and down at one time, like you want to turn all the vocals up and down, or when you want to turn all the vocals up or all the vocals down, you can use these groups to do that. And so you can see we've like one of the groups is backing vocals, one of the groups is lead, piano, guitar. Now we're a small enough band that, you know, we usually have 1 to 2 leaders, 1 piano, maybe 2 guitar, and so these groups don't really get used a whole lot, but you can use them if you want to. And so that's what they're for, is just being able to turn and being able to adjust multiple channels at the same time. Okay, now the button underneath it, this is the other thing that's really important. So we're going to go ahead and go. This is the what we call the bus sends, and you think of it just like a like a regular bus. A bus is for taking groups of people to a certain place, and that's what the bus sends are on here. It's taking a certain group of channels and sending it somewhere else. And so the first 4 channels are the stage monitors: monitor A, monitor B, monitor C, and monitor D. Now we're going to go ahead and go through what you do to adjust those, but you really won't have to worry about that hardly at all anymore, because we have in-ear monitors now on the stage, and all the musicians and vocalists control their own mix, so we don't really use the stage monitors a whole lot anymore. But just in case you're running sound for first service where we don't use the in-ear monitors, or there's a week where we are using them, like, it'll be good to know how to adjust the stage monitors. So basically, let's say that you're running sound and we're using the stage monitors, and whoever has monitor A, which we used to have like a map when we used all the monitors, but again, you don't have to worry about that. Whoever has monitor A says, I can't hear Ginger at all in my monitor. Can I get more Ginger? Okay, so how do we do that? So basically what we do is we go to monitor A and select it. So we hit our select button up here, and then over just to the left of the mix buses, there's a button that says fader flip sends on fader, and when you hit sends on fader, it starts blinking. You can see it's blinking, and what that means is when that is set, all of the volume settings over here are just how things are turned up or turned down in that monitor, just that monitor alone. Okay, and so like you can see, if we go over to Ginger's channel, it's turned all the way down in that monitor, and so that's why the person who is using monitor A can't hear Ginger at all. So let's say we turn her up halfway, because Ginger's pretty loud. Now she should be able to hear Ginger in her monitor. Now that we've got that fixed, we can go back and turn sends on fader off, and now we're back. You see it's not blinking anymore, and we're back to our regular mix, and Ginger's volume is where it is for the master. And so all you have to do to adjust a monitor mix is just pick which monitor you want to use, and then hit sends on fader, and then whatever you're turning up or turning down in whatever channel, whether it's 1 through 16, 17 through 32, you're adjusting it just in that monitor. Now the important thing there is, when you're done, you have to remember to turn this back off, because otherwise, if you don't, you might make adjustments thinking you're adjusting for what everyone's hearing in the house, and really just still be just adjusting that monitor. But again, since we have the in-ear monitors, if you're running sound for second service, you won't have to use stage monitors really at all. The bus send that you will use constantly, and that you have to be aware of, is bus 5 and 6 are the live stream. So this is what people watching online are hearing, and they're synced. So if you do something to one channel 5 or 6, you do it to both of them. And so every now and then during both practice and the service, you want to check what things are sounding like in the live stream. And so this is kind of the second service that you're mixing for at the same time, if in a way. And so, but it works the exact same way as the monitors. So if you select either one of them, because they're synced. So let's say you select bus 5, which is the stream, and then hit that sends on fader. Okay, so now everything you're controlling over here is just what's being sent to the live stream. So if you turn something down, you're only turning it down in the live stream. And then when you turn that off, it'll go back to the regular mix. Now when you hit solo on the live stream, then you can put on these headphones, these noise canceling headphones, and you'll just hear in the headphones, you'll just hear the online mix. And so that's what those are for, just so you can hear the online mix. And you want to make sure the band sounds okay during the online mix, and then you also want to check again maybe once Tony starts preaching to make sure that he's coming through online. And so the way that you hear just the online service is to hit solo on the stream and then listen to it in the headphones. And if you need to make any adjustments, then you just select it, do your sends on fader, and then go to whatever channel you need more or less of, adjust it, and then turn it off when you're done. The main volume is over just to the right of that. You can kind of see the left, right, that's the main. And again, when you turn the board on, that defaults to being turned all the way down. And I've forgotten that a couple of times and wondered why it wasn't making any sound, and it's because it was turned all the way down. Another thing, so let's say that we're doing the service and you've got everything turned on and everything seems to be working, but for some reason nothing on the stage is giving any sound. The mics aren't giving any sound, instruments aren't giving any sound. There actually is and I'm going to try and walk up here without making you super dizzy. There is a box on the stage that has to be turned on in order for everything on the stage to work. And so what it is the board has a digital cable, a Cat 5 cable that runs through the floor and comes out up here and then runs into the back of this fancy looking box right here, and that's what everything on the stage is plugged into and being sent to the soundboard through. And so if that's not turned on, you're not going to get anything from the stage. And so that power button is just right back here. You just flip it on and you can see now it's all lit up and pretty looking. So now everything on the stage should be working. So again, I know that's a lot, but really it's just a matter of adjusting volume and making it sound good to you. Running sound is highly subjective, so you know, the best you can do is just make sure it sounds good to you, make sure it sounds good in the room, make sure it sounds good on the online mix. And a lot of the stuff that you see here on the board, like over here, there's all these buttons for assigning things and mute groups. We don't really use that stuff a whole lot. The talkback, we don't even have a talkback mic. And so a lot of this stuff that looks really intimidating, you don't even really need to worry about. So this is the introduction to sound video. When you shut things off, you do it in the opposite way. Remember, we started on the left and moved to the right. You do it in the opposite way and turn off the amps first, and then the board, and then the power last. So, all right, thanks for watching. Have a good day.